5:30. On the minutes. The only thing I saw was under call to order, it says Robert instead of Roberta.
Sorry.
Okay, we'll fix that. I didn't catch it either.
I know.
Right by it. Just mess it
It's
with
probably
next
one
time.
of those things that we don't really look at when we look at them.
I think-
Auto correct.
Yes,
Hate
under
that.
call to order.
Okay.
Does anyone see anything else? We have a motion to accept,
I will accept.
second,
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So I don't need to sign this, cause you have to. Or do you want me?
You can just, if you wanna just write your little A in there. And there we go. Message him.
Okay, first up is the cemetery budget.
You guys want to ask questions or? That one I didn't touch. I haven't played around with this one. The only thing they want to do this year is, this is the trustees of the trust funds, not Mike's department. They would like to put a kiosk in, or work towards getting a kiosk down there with the mapping, like, kind of like Lincoln has. We just find. That's their addition. And everything else is pretty much the same.
Any more questions or discussion? Moving on to Parks and Recreation.
You can tell them the difference.
Yeah, well,
Or Mike's and your
Oh,
spots.
yeah.
Scott's always got big plans. We wanna put a sun cover. So people have some sun, have some shade down there. It's all right out in the sun. And there's a corner over by the left back corner. There's room for a couple more things. We'd like to add a couple more small things, for bongos or something. We're looking into them. And then between the park and the stone wall to the left, there's room, I think, I'm putting a little basketball, like a half court. For the bigger kids to have something to do. And then, oh yeah, and then the benches. I'd like to replace the benches going up to Lincoln. There's two of them and they've been bumped by the plow a couple of times and they get a little rough, so I'd like to put a couple of new ones up through there.
And the sidewalk to
Oh.
Lincoln, is
Start on
that
the
benches?
What's that?
It's a
That's the-
sidewalk to Lincoln, is that the benches?
Yeah.
to the Sidewalk to Lincoln or not?
Oh, yeah, that's the sidewalks coming in the next budget.
Oh, okay.
Those are the benches, there's 3 benches at Soldiers Park,
The
Two at the park,
and then the
the
2.
concrete ones?
the concrete ones.
Yeah.
And then
So I'm
there's-
trying to find newer ones. But we gotta find something we can put weight to, because if they're too light, people are just throwing in the truck and they're gonna disappear.
What's wrong with the ones that are there?
We're gonna replace the wood all the time, and now the screws work their way up a little bit. People sit on the screw and that's not comfortable.
Not the cement.
Oh,
They're not
it's-
replacing those, they're
the
replacing the.
No, the
wooden
bench,
ones.
the wooden ones up by the, like where the sidewalk comes in Soldiers Park, and then there's one
Oh,
down.
like the one, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I was like, what's wrong with the concrete
Yes.
ones?
No, they've been rebuilt many times, and the concrete on one of them is splitting, starting to break, so. Like something we can handle a little better.
The playground you're talking about, is that behind Truant's, that one down there?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that area definitely needs some, one of those hanging type things or something to
For shade.
give some shade, yeah.
Yep.
That alone.
Yeah,
is
we're looking at, there's a couple different styles.
$20,000.
It's-
We just
Did
find
Scott
like
talk to you about
a
the,
camper awning and just,
yes.
Unfortunately, our insurance company is very particular at what goes in there.
Oh,
They want to tell.
Everything gotta be just right.
Right down to the
They're gonna be
next.
supported properly, and
yeah.
they're gonna be able to be taken down in the winter months, stuff like that, just. And we're not replacing the mulch, we're adding to the mulch.
Yeah.
They say if you rip up what's there, all you're gonna do is unearth mushrooms and undergrowth and all kinds of stuff. So you leave what's there, cause it eventually goes into the earth, and you just put a new layer over the top.
Is the mulch something that gets like replaced every X amount of years?
They told me every few years you add to it.
Add to it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's special mulch, right?
It is.
It is, yeah. The company that we deal with, they're trying to stay away from anything rubber or plastic or anything like that. Of course, now they're coming up with all these things in your water and everything else, trying to stay away from anything plastic or rubber. And they strongly suggest staying with the wood mulch. But like they said, the wood mulch will dissolve into the earth. And then you have the cost of trying to replace it.
Any other questions or discussion? Moving on to highway.
Um, we didn't jump in. So everything is didn't touch really anything of yours. Mike's is kind of the upper part. And then the selectmen start getting involved down in the lower part, so I'll just fill in for Scott. Want me to go, Cheryl? I'm gonna just.
Yeah, I think,
So everything, or you can speak to your sidewalk. Or you're going up,
Stonebridge.
you're going from the Stone Bridge up to
Yeah,
towards Lincoln as far as you can go for $40,000.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
We only go to Deer Park then, right? That's
No.
where- No.
We go all
No,
the
we're
way.
that's
in charge of
right.
sidewalk all the way to
I'm-
Lincoln.
That's
So
right.
we plan to go as far as we can go.
All the way to the lights?
Yeah.
As far as, yeah, all the way to the
That's
lights.
the town
As far
line.
as the 40,000 will get you.
And then we stop and we do another 40,000 the next year.
Gotcha.
And we're actually encumbering the $35,000 from this year due to permitting from the state. We have new people up in District 1 that are a little challenging. And, but it's just been, so we could not get our projects completed this year. And we've encumbered the money, so we will actually have a lot of sidewalks going on. We're gonna be going from Morris Street to the Green Bridge. I mean, not to the Green
To the
Bridge,
Stone Bridge.
to the Stone Bridge, then up Paradise Road. Right?
Yeah, just the piece on Paradise is right beside N32. At the bottom of Wayne's Market to, what is it, Lexington Ski Club.
Mhm.
It's junk, it's falling apart and it's bad trip hazard. So we're gonna clean it up, put a piece of granite up through the side, and make it look like a regular sidewalk.
And that's on the N32 side,
On the
right?
N32 side, it
Yep.
actually kind of connected right to their building.
Don't worry.
You're
You
just in
almost missed
time.
all
Oh,
of
God.
Okay, let's talk about your EV chargers. I was gonna chime in for you.
Oh, EV charging, okay. Bottom line is, there's a very good chance we're gonna get a grant that will cover 80% of it from the state. If we don't get the grant, we wouldn't do it. Bottom line is, because New Hampshire just got $20 million towards those, charging stations, so.
So you'll see that coming in once you see the revenue. I'll have offsetting revenue for that line item.
And we have enough in
It's
cap reserve
80-20.
to cover the 20%. You know what I mean, so.
Where would they go?
Right, when you go down, you know where Morris Street is, that parking lot,
Yeah.
go down to the right. There'd be a lineup right
Down
there,
behind Screaming Skips.
cause that, what Mike feels, that's
Going
the
through
easiest
part of
place
the
to tow and stuff like that.
Well, we're doing a water line project
Oh, you.
from the intersection down over the hill.
Yeah.
The whole thing's gonna be a mess already.
Second.
So when they change that, we're actually moving the
Across the
bottom part of that Morris Street over
Yeah.
towards the corner of the
Fair
parking
game.
lot.
Yeah,
Yes,
And that should leave
Yeah.
a
Fair
telephone
Lodge or
pole
whatever
right
it is.
Yep,
there. We
right
gotta
there.
move the pole over.
going right
And I
down.
think that'd probably be the best place to put the chargings.
And we can charge,
That's where the water line's going.
we can charge for it. And I don't know what the exact rules are, I think Cheryl has a better idea, but we can, it wouldn't be free.
yeah,
No,
it wouldn't
we're
be
not
charged.
charged, yeah. So, and the idea, they think our spot's ideal because, they can park there, they can go shopping, there's
Yeah,
apartments
walk
there
around,
that
yeah,
people could use.
Free parking.
You know.
yeah,
so
free
forth.
parking to
Yeah.
go to all the places there, stores and.
They just gotta leave them there overnight.
So worst case scenario cost the town 16 or 17,000. To put them in and we make the
And
money
you said
back.
we have it, so
And then if we
Who
don't get
maintains
the
it?
grant, we're not gonna
do it,
do it.
Who maintains the charges?
With ABRs, I'm sure.
Okay, so-
It'd be Revision Energy, so well, we have to put up the bid, but it'd probably be them that would maintain it. So it'd be a Sabre and Electric is installing, that's all. If we get the grant, but again, if we don't get the grant, we're not gonna spend 100,000, 80,000. Is that good?
sounds
Yeah.
good.
Thank you.
Okay. So the selectmen have upped the highway maintenance, capital reserve contribution. Because we're down to 55,000, it's pretty depleted. If we have a natural disaster, that is not enough. To cover really anything in this,
Day and age.
day and age, right? Highway heavy duty, they were gonna be up for a backhoe. Mike has pushed that out to 2026. So that it will be fully funded.
We just bought the loader this last year, so that fund is a little bit lower.
So next year there'll be. The backhoe out of the capital reserve and then an outlay because they'll be rotating out one of their pickup trucks.
And that way there won't be money out.
Right.
More, no.
The highway block grant is just what it's money in that we get from the state for class 5 roads. That money will be used for Bell Street this year.
To pave it?
to pave
Mill and
Bell
fill
Street.
like we did Center Street and School Street. They grind out the top layer of the old pavement and relay all new pavement. We got the brand new road going up through. Full length of there to Bell Street.
And then it'll be Paradise Road and then we're on to,
Good for chocolate.
what?
I know, but it
Do a
doesn't-
certain
it doesn't
amount.
seem that, I don't. Notice when I drive it, like, oh man, these roads need to get fixed.
But we want to keep them that
We wanna
way.
keep it-
There's some
We
repairs
wanna
like,
keep them
like,
that way,
like
so-
Charlie Wisharch, there's a repair in the road, so that it's got cracks and lines, the bottom of the hill's been repaired.
I guess it depends. Could you say that a little louder?
Yeah. We have a fan club that thinks we have the worst roads in the country.
No. I drive it every day. I do work from home now, but I still drive it every day.
You do have to have a maintenance plan where you're keeping track and you are constantly.
Well, I
going
think
over
the
them.
thing is, you
Yeah.
do a certain amount each year, so you
Well, I was
get
gonna
to a
say,
point where you're screwed.
State
Yeah.
here that, you know, we get a grant, right, for certain
We get
roads.
that
and it-
We got
offsets
money
our-
for it, yeah.
Yes, that offsets our highway. It can only be used on class 5 roads.
Yeah.
Our paving is down to 15,000, so we used to contribute a lot more. We had stopped and kind of reduced the amount that we were contributing because we were pretty comfortable where we were. We feel we need to start upping that because if we have any major road repairs, water mains, whatever, we only have $15,000 there.
Any other questions or discussion? Moving on to water.
That's beautiful, water. Oh, God, Scott. There we go. They even talked to me, so here.
I got it in my head.
No, of course you didn't. All right, well, you might as well, I'm just gonna, oh,
The only big thing is, we'd like to budget for the water line replacement on Lower Route 3. It takes like a year and a half to really get through this process. So we'd like to budget for it this year, worst case scenario. And over the course of the next 6 or 7 or 8 months, we apply for grants and loans and see what we can do to defray the cost. To make it lower, but. And then we'd be ready to go next year in the spring. Because it just takes so long to do any of this stuff. And so, the hope is. That we would get some grants, that's worst case scenario. It should not raise the water rates by itself. If we go up to 3 or 4% that we were talking about every year. We should be okay without raising the water rates any more than that. It wouldn't be a dramatic increase in the water rates to do that. And it's been on the books for about 15 years to replace it, so.
We have our plans are,
We've had the plans,
Yeah.
It's already
wait,
been engineered.
what,
it's,
since.
the engineers are planning everything else. The trouble, and I'll be honest with you right now, the reason we have trouble getting grants and low income financing, because we don't charge enough
Mhm.
compared to. The average water bill for the state of New Hampshire for residents is about $700. Ours is what, 300 is what we charge. I don't know
Depends
what-
on, well, depends on.
No, I mean, just an average house, is about 300, so we're not. They don't think we need it. So, or that we should be paying for it ourselves, so that's why we have trouble getting grants and stuff like that to do water work, so.
I think it's worth mentioning though too, that the $1 million isn't against the whole residents of Woodstock.
No,
That
it's
is
just against water
Water,
users.
just
Water
against
users,
water
just water
users.
And you'll be seeing that offsetting,
What percentage of residents don't use water?
A lot,
there's only
it's about 700 or 800 hookups.
about
Sundance,
900.
Lost Valley, and
900.
then further up.
But some of those
they're
are
not
quarter
on town
shares.
water. 175 on the other side of the river isn't. on
It'd
town
make
water.
it make it a lot easier if they all everybody had it.
Mhm.
You know,
And not everybody that has water has sewer,
Right,
Right,
so that's why they have to be self-sustaining funds and. So you'll see, I'll bring in $1 million in revenue on the other side, because it will be a bond or note or something. Offset that, so. You wanna talk about your hydrants and your fencing, those are,
yeah, we're gonna start replacing some hydrants, we've got some that. They should have a 4-inch. Spout on them, and a lot of them don't, or not a lot, a few of them don't, they're very old hydrants. So we'd like to upgrade them. And there's some of the older ones have lead that hold them together, we're gonna start replacing those. I'd like to do like 3 a year if we can.
and that's part of our emergency management grant that we have. We had received a grant to do an asset management program for water and sewer.
so it's part of the capital improvement plan
And
that
so this is our,
they came up with. So
Well,
we're
they
trying to
worked with
follow
us,
that,
too.
yeah,
yeah, we're
they're-
trying to keep
we're
on.
trying to follow that plan if we can.
And then,
And then fencing. I'd like to put a perimeter fence, like 6-foot fence with barbed wire around our water system, the wells. Right now, it's just the end of a dirt road, and there's people, now there's an Airbnb on that road, and those people are always down around the well houses, and we can't really keep track of what's going on, so. I'd like to
Do we have
fence that all
security
in,
cameras?
protect it.
Do we have security cameras down there?
Not at the
No,
moment,
no,
that's another thought to add to that.
we just had a cyber assessment done.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a mandate coming.
Can we
soon
throw
anyway.
some blink cameras up on there for right now?
Sure. Why not?
At least it
We
gives us
don't have
something.
any internet down there.
There's no internet,
They
so
don't
it's,
want internet down there because of
Well,
cyber.
that's what.
They don't mind internet down there, they just don't want the water system
The
hooked up to
scale,
the
yeah.
internet.
Right,
That's.
so we could do internet for cameras, I mean. They strongly suggest staying away from Chinese cameras and stuff like that, but,
Some deer
Well, I think that's a good point, though, I think we should look at it, yeah,
but if we can get that fenced in and also
cameras.
the,
yeah. Get a couple
tanks, the tank up on the hill.
Cameras up there would be great too.
Yeah.
We can't, there's no
The
electricity. no
tank up
power
by
there.
Sundance?
We could put some cameras up there. Like
Yeah.
what
You could
they
do a game
use in-
camera, but there's no power up there, so you wouldn't be able to put a regular
Just
camera.
Well, you can do a
You
solar
could do
charge
what they do
camera,
in
Yeah,
Yeah.
game cameras
Marion
and stuff.
Woods, yeah, the game
Yeah,
cameras with the
Stuff
solar
like that you
panels.
could do.
yeah,
You
so I think that's a
can-
good point to do that too. I mean, that's not big money, a couple
No.
cameras. We could do that out of it, yes, exactly.
Is the well actually inside the building, Mike, on there?
The wells are,
The wells. are-
one's underground and one's above ground.
Okay.
Right, one, yeah, it's not in the building. It's not in the building. The
What's that?
well itself is not in the building. That's the part that goes into the ground, he's asking.
Well, yeah, you're pulling water from under the ground, but one of them, the pump, it's the physical pump that pushes the water, one of them is submersible.
Right, that's what
The
I'm
other
saying, but
well
that's
house.
outside the building, though,
But-
it's not in the building. The
Is the
well,
the wellhead actually in the building?
Yes,
It is, so it's protected, it's inside the building.
it's inside the building.
Okay.
I didn't think it was.
Yeah, the pipe work is all inside the building.
Yeah, okay.
There's no pipe work outside of the buildings. Everything's underground,
But the well itself is outside the building.
No,
inside the building.
Okay.
Well, underneath the building.
Yeah. Well, I know, I
Not
know.
inside the building.
I know.
Under the building.
Under the building.
sorry. I asked.
I learn something every day.
Yeah, we do.
Any other questions or comments about the water budget? Okay, moving on to sewer.
Oops.
Yeah, it's pretty much just operational except for, Carol, you're on,
What?
pump station upgrade.
Oh,
Pump station
Oh, yeah.
upgrade, that's right.
We're actually working.
We're a couple of years in right now, but we did apply for a Northern Borders, regional grant. Back in 2022, we're coming to the end of it right now, we have to have it.
we have to
purchased
do
and
it.
Installed by, 2025. And so we'll have offsetting revenue for that, but it's the pump house down here, just on the other side of Maple Haven Campground. The bridge goes across, we're updating that so that if there's ever any projects or sewer, needs further up the road, we'll have the pump house to, we need the pump house upgraded to, be able to handle it.
Yeah, so capacity. So we'll be bringing in roughly 392-ish thousand to offset that on the revenue side. Well, you won't see, you'll see 140 I've already brought in. You'll see 242.5 for this year to offset it.
Any other questions or comments on the sewer budget? Moving on, personnel administration.
Bye.
Oh, that's mine.
Oh,
I can go.
what?
You go.
Thank you, Mike.
So,
Thank you.
let's see. Health insurance went up 9.4%, but I did not have, I don't think I have to increase it. Because I have so many single people right now and I have to budget for family plans because if they have a life change, they come on. One did. One had one life change. I think there's gonna have another life change too, but and I think I'm okay to stay where I'm at, so retirement increased because of raises and percentage.
Did the dental insurance rates go up?
5%.
Number 9.
Ours, I'm way under a lot of people. For the increase. Yeah, 9.4, I think was my overall. And then 5 for dental.
Workman's comp didn't go up that much, but we're looking at all our budgets and the payroll went up. Shouldn't that have gone up a little more?
Because we're part of a pool. Primex is a pool, so unemployment and workers' comp fluctuate based on the pool.
Any other questions or comments on personnel administration? Moving on, communication.
That's dispatch for both Grafton, Lincoln, and our phone lines.
What's Forest Service payroll end up in communication budget?
I don't know, but it always does. It's just, it's the way they have it structured. It's been there.
We've only ever we've used that,
The
the
dilly.
dilly kit, the dilly clip there, otherwise it just goes back in the general fund.
And it kind of just gives us, if God forbid that was a place that you know, we had to spend, we can keep expending and then probably get reimbursed.
Next up, health administration.
These are all the agencies that presented to you, the joint boards that night. The selectmen went back and this is their proposal based off from the presentations.
We eliminated a couple that you really haven't used their face on.
We didn't, well, we didn't receive requests from a couple.
Yeah.
One we did find that didn't submit a request just because, we use them quite a bit.
Any other questions or comments about health administration budget? Okay, moving on to patriotic purposes.
Do you want me to speak to that?
Mhm.
So fireworks, this year, we went back to the company we've been using. And they still would not guarantee us the 4th, and then they, wouldn't give us the 3rd, and they couldn't give us the 5th, and so we were kind of like, all right, they're not really looking to work with us anymore.
Right.
So, the folks over in Lincoln, Dane and Karina reached out to some other vendors and they got one back that has agreed to keep the price, what we paid last year. Plus $1,000, I think,
Right.
$500. And they'll guarantee the 5th, the day after, they wouldn't give us the 4th because we're on the late end of securing it. They did say, or it was suggested, in the joint selectmen's meeting that, once the fireworks occur next year, we're trying to get them on the hook right away to get the 4th, and they suspect that they'll ask us for a 50% deposit. So this year's proposal includes the cost for this year plus a 50% deposit for 2026. And then we'll just kind of be on that cycle of always producing a 50% deposit the year before. And hopefully we'll get back on the board. That's the intentions of that.
So it would be on a Saturday night this year. Would be nice.
Yeah.
Do we
We
need
get
to
it
go
back
through
on the
the
board,
revised
yeah.
joint budgets?
It's just, they went back and watched the meeting and it's really just that, she found a $6,000 error in our favor, really, to do with administration. She corrected it and sent it back. This little email, so I just gave you the new ones, plus, so when you're perusing the draft spreadsheet in your leisure, you can just make sure I double check my numbers that I put in, you know.
So
This is
like
just
when
a
we
draft.
propose, like when we discussed at the joint meeting, like adding a week of camp. Like where does that money fruition, like,
They would have to add it for you. and they
right,
did
so
not
if they
do that.
don't, and if they didn't add it, then they're not considering it.
Right,
So what do we? It's 2 years now, we've mentioned this.
They seemed adamant
They-
against it.
Yeah,
they
Yeah.
manage the budget and we, so
But
that,
like if. In my job terms, I do accounting for a living. Tax season starts January 1st. I don't take a break from my job because I have tax season coming up. It's my job. So and I know in the past that they've taken a break because of vacations. That's not happening this year.
did she say that they were going back
They,
Going back to, what did
they
she
said
say?
it was more due to the high school not having so the not adventure camp, the camp uses a lot of high schoolers versus the older
Right.
college age kids.
Yeah,
And so by adding that week, so if the say school gets out on the 13th. And then they roll right into training that following week to start
Yeah.
camp the following week, it gives those students no break before starting their summer job.
but it's your job, like, that's what you
Kids
plan.
though, yeah.
Yeah, the
Right.
kids, as far
Yes,
as,
yes.
so, I
But
think
even-
maybe what we could do is. I
Do they
would
need a
suggest-
week of training?
Yes.
Like for the
Yeah,
thing,
'cause I think
how
it-
many kids are returning and how many are new?
Right, I think it includes their first aid,
Yeah, the
CPR,
certification.
all
I
of
think
those
so.
I think that has to
certifications,
do every year.
changing over the
I-
buildings to accommodate, so changing over the tank to accommodate. Tank camp.
From ski season?
I mean, I think what we could do is. In advance of budget season is maybe submit a request to consider it or budget for it, so that if the opportunity arises,
Yeah.
the money is there. I think that's a fair, we could try.
Why-
That
would
maybe
be my
at the joint
suggestion.
Meeting, you could bring that up, that's,
Yeah.
that, you know, so,
Like I'm all for funding it. If it can't happen, it can't happen, but I just don't want the
Oh, I'm
reason
with
that
you.
they can't do it because they don't have the money.
I think,
oh, well, I
that's-
don't think, well.
I think
they
it's-
budget for it, but, I
Yeah,
don't think they can
We could
get,
submit something probably like August,
when you're in the
when they
middle of the
start
joint,
working.
that end
and
of
work
quarter.
towards it, so if the money's there, if we can do it.
Well,
Right,
put the money there, I mean, you
Put
can just
it
put the money there, and if you can't find the staff, you just can't do it. I
Right,
mean, you can't,
Cause it does put
But you
people in a
could-
bind.
you could
Yeah,
appropriate
worksheets.
for it in
You put
hopes that
kids
you
in a
could do
bind.
it, and then if not, return it,
right.
you know, like,
I just think
I
it
would
shows
ask-
more of like a good faith effort that, you know, we're willing to fund it if it's a program that you can. You can
We'll
do,
make it work.
right?
I mean, what are those kids, the kid, I don't know, I've been way out of the picture for a long time, but. Maybe could the kids do some of that training on the weekends leading into it? I mean, pay them on the weekends, I don't know what,
Right.
you know, probably depends on sports and all of that.
Well, are they different from like the ASP kids? Like, I just don't know what the staff is made up of, like how many kids from ASP go into camp? So that, do they already have the training? Like, do they already have the certifications? Cause they're already working with our kids.
And it might be something that's just required by state law that these kids do, and or by our insurance companies or something, you know, it might be a mandate that has to happen, and
Yeah, maybe this summer or early this fall, we could maybe suggest the pre come in and kind of talk us through it. And help maybe,
That's a good
so that we can help
Yeah.
maybe understand better, like,
Right.
what's the training involved, what's this involved, what's that involved.
Percentage of returning campers.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure there is more to it.
Our returning staff.
It's
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
But it does,
Right.
We see it all the
Training.
time.
It doesn't
Right.
need it all.
Right.
People
My
think
kids
it's-
went for 4 years there.
but it
easier
puts a
than
lot
it
of
is.
parents in a bind.
Oh, yeah,
It's huge.
it's a huge bond, yeah. I mean,
'Cause it's
granted,
2
we don't
weeks.
have
Oh,
it
yeah.
anymore,
It's
but
2 weeks in the beginning of summer
Right,
and it's a week at the end of summer.
that's a lot.
So it's 3 weeks out of,
But they have come a long way, because when my kids were little, there was no transportation, they ran 9 to 3. We still had that, it was only a few, it didn't go as long as it
It was
does
like 4
now.
or 5,
Yeah,
it was
we're
like
fortunate
5
that we-
weeks.
You know, so they have come a long way. It would, my kids couldn't do it. I couldn't leave work at 9 o'clock in the morning and then pick them up at 3.
mhm.
I think there was only 1 year, last year they had a van
Mhm.
and it picked up at the daycares.
8 to 4.
So, I mean, they have come a long way.
Yeah.
The weeks have been extended and
Maybe, like you said, we could ask Karina and Bree to come in and just chat and kind of explain it for us a little bit
Yeah.
better.
Good idea.
or maybe
Because
there's
they know
ideas,
it,
maybe you
because
could
they're
brainstorm.
involved in it on a daily basis
How
because they
could you
manage
make it
it.
work? Instead of how you can't make it work.
Yeah.
I always
Yeah.
try to take the positive.
It's realistic.
Well, I just know that we mentioned it last year and nothing came of it, and so like for mentioning it again. I just want either further conversation.
But I think if we get going earlier, maybe,
Yeah.
Not when
then
we're
before
right there.
budget season even starts.
Or
Yeah,
just
right.
put it there and then try to figure it out,
Yeah.
maybe, I don't know. We have to figure out the timing.
The meeting, I think, is a week long because there's a lot more to it than people realize.
Yeah.
You know, these people are driving your kids around in vans.
Right.
Thing. So, you know, it's not something you just do in 3 days.
And I think that some of it is mandated, and I think people come and do the trainings, and I think that's why it's during the week, but
I
it's been a long time since
Team
I've,
building exercises and
There's a
all
lot,
that,
a
yeah.
lot that goes under that.
yep,
So you don't have the necessarily the high school drama involved in the.
And I think we were at the mercy of school, like if
You
it's,
are.
cause right
Yeah.
now with like that training week, so school ends on a Friday. Then there's a whole week break. And then it's training week, and then it's camp.
and will you get those kids to come the whole week, because quite honestly, they might look forward to that break and not wanna do it. I mean, I don't know,
Right.
You
They
are,
just have
so,
to-
like we said, at the mercy of the school, so if there's a couple snooties in the next.
Right.
month, Then we're into the middle of the next week and.
Mm-hmm.
it would be a good, sit down and maybe guys
Yeah, maybe.
brainstorm.
Yep.
Yep.
At least put the money there and then try to figure it out.
Okay, next up. So I'm going to the 2025 public hearings.
Did we look at this spreadsheet real quick?
Oh, we can.
You could it's for you guys to start looking over. I just want to point a couple things out to you. When my budgets came through, they did not have a short-term rental program on there. And we met and decided to implement a short-term rental program, registration program. The people will pay to register. You will see offsetting revenue coming in, but I just wanted to be transparent that I was adding that line item.
Where is that?
Under financial administration. Third one down on the first page.
Okay,
It's
Sorry.
in red.
thank you.
I think I corrected this in the meeting, but I want to just make sure. When I submitted the building inspector payroll, I had 8,200 on the spreadsheet and it should have been 85. The board of selectmen increased it to 8,500. So I caught that when I was going through. So just to be transparent there.
The short-term rental program, is that similar to Lincoln?
Yes.
Or-
Well, I don't know that we can't be,
Like you pay like $125
yes.
to
Yeah.
Yes.
register
To
your
register
Airbnb.
your
But
Airbnb.
then we know who to call in case of the
Exactly.
There'll be an
Right.
inspection.
And-
We need to
Doesn't Lincoln
register.
have to-
Or
has to be
overcapacity
subject to
parking.
Bond or something.
Or like overcapacity parking and like,
Right,
you
and,
know,
and we're gonna try to keep it very basic, but, we haven't done it yet, but. And then so that John can inspect these places to make sure they have CO2 detectors, like this, two forms of egress and stuff like that. Because some of these things are,
Occupancy
yeah, so,
in the very early stages.
it's not to be miserable, but stay tuned.
We need to start charging for it.
Oh, yeah,
We have to.
that's pennies.
we don't know
Compared
what's
to
going on, exactly, we need
Our
to know.
neighborhood
We
is Airbnb central.
Which neighborhood is?
Yeah.
And then on the capital reserves, I just put the ones in red that you haven't, they're pretty status quo. They are the ones that have not come through on a budget. So just briefly, you're gonna see that it looks like a substantial increase to our budget. Of that 3 million, 1.287 is going to water. With offsetting revenue of 1.050, so really water only increased operationally 237,000. Sewer, a big chunk of it, huh?
I don't think you have the right number in there for the ambulance. I think it's supposed to be 187.
The one that I submitted from the joint budget was 180.
It would.
Did we get another one?
Hold on. I was just looking.
Oh, well. Board tax thing, a little.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, the 182.5 doesn't look familiar.
I thought it was like 179.
Go to the,
Mm,
the
I'm
last
going-
one
I
I
was
got.
gonna say, we can go to the
was
back,
20.
the last meeting, right?
Revised. 182, 360. Okay, that's the one that was presented.
That's the last one
Last
I
week.
saw.
Okay,
You haven't seen anything different?
no,
Okay,
Was this one at the meeting last week?
yeah,
Just so you know, the title of the spreadsheet says 2023 budgets.
well, mine says 2025, I don't think I just. Oh, changed yours.
Special.
I think I.
Was the ambulance, do we know, did we ever get follow-up from last week's meeting if they're gonna give us their actuals on their format? You
I'll
guys
make
remember
sure,
that?
I'll make sure you get it.
I haven't heard anything.
Cause they, that was their issue, is that they had to like map numbers to fit into the town's format of the budget.
Between Faith and I and
Steve,
Steve, we'll make sure you get it.
it's been a rough week. We've had an awful lot of calls. You heard Marty broke her leg and her rib.
oh, no.
Oh, and the rib?
Ankle and a ribs.
Yeah, skiing at the tanks.
At the tank.
Yeah,
Oh,
Gosh, so. These are just your big ticket items, like for that I didn't go through and nitpick all the operational stuff. So of that huge increase, you know, that were projects. Those projects are really gonna only increase $237,000 because I'm gonna bring in revenue for the rest. On the big project in the sewer, the 515. We're gonna bring in 382.5. So really, that project is only gonna hit the budget for like 132.5. On the general, it looks like we're going, you know, like 782,920. We're gonna be bringing in offsetting revenue of 465. So really, the general operating is 317,920. That will be the increase, and that's roughly your payroll, your raises, half of another office staff, 7th officer, maybe insurances, ambulance, maintenance contract, operational contract, solid waste facility, and parks. Those are your heavy hitters. We'll see what you think, really, but if anything, as you're looking through these jumps out at you, if you could email me this week, because I am be working on your 737 and your warrant.
And next week will be a long meeting because we have to vote on everything, right?
You'll be voting on this to go, but so if you could just kind of peruse it.
So we're gonna vote on the spreadsheet,
Yes.
not the MS,
I'm gonna have a draft of your 737,
because I think that's
I
what we
still
usually
don't-
vote on.
have the revenues. Well, I think you gotta go through, you need to make sure you're okay, because with this before we go to the 730. Because when I come back at you the next time is your public hearing,
Right,
which will be the final 737. So you're gonna see a draft of the 737 tomorrow,
next
next
week.
week. Did you guys, any of you guys look at this?
right now. Payments would begin in 2025
For what?
for the water line.
I don't know.
So you're putting it, so you're putting that language in there in case,
Yes,
just in case.
Yes.
Could be.
probably not,
Probably not, but I wanna have our bases
Bases.
covered.
probably
Yep.
not.
Alright,
The other one I know, John assured is not till 2027, so.
I don't see,
You're absolutely sure on the lead and copper, because I have a note in my town budget thing. SRF, whatever loan, lead and copper applied for, and you did not do that. You said you thought we didn't need to.
I think we're going to have to apply for it during this year, for sure.
Then it needs to be a warrant article. That's
Well, the
what I'm-
thing is, I don't know if we're gonna get it either. You know,
Or
so,
we could do it in phase.
all right, I'll make that my homework tomorrow. Just to make sure.
Can't we write one, or work with Laura to write one that says,
To accept,
we need an to accept up to,
100,000 or something. I think that would probably-
and this grant that you're talking about is
you can
100%
have a loan.
covered, it's a loan.
It's the loan, just like the water line.
But we don't have to do anything this year, I'm telling you.
Well, that's what I'm asking you.
Okay.
I'm
No.
asking you for the
We can
confirm.
do this for 2026.
Yes,
That's it.
yes.
Okay.
Okay,
yes.
and we're not gonna miss that grant.
No, we have to come up with a plan. I will call her tomorrow,
We can discuss this further on Friday.
and I will have the answer by Friday.
Okay.
We're bonding all day tomorrow, so we have meetings
You too,
tomorrow.
okay. After you do the two things, and it says if a second public hearing, that next line, this bonds, it should be these bonds.
Could you text that to me, please?
Yeah.
Then you take
Make
that one, make
corrections on
sure,
here, thank you.
I want you to make sure you have it all marked up tomorrow morning when we meet.
Alright.
Thank you.
By ballot on town meeting day on Tuesday.
But I don't think the lead thing is gonna come up this year.
As long as we're sure, because,
I wanna be sure.
yes, I want you to be sure, that's what I'm saying.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
For the, what was I just looking at? I found it, forget it. I was wondering why bridge project was in health and welfare, where the others were on their vendor payments. All the other donations.
I think because they tied it to my welfare budget at first, that's what it was utilized for.
Any other mistakes or comments on the public hearing warrant? Notice?
Like real peruse everything, call, text me, whatever. I'm gonna try after Friday to send you guys drafts of like the 737, probably through your email and the warrant. You guys can just really look at it for me. I would really appreciate it. More eyes, the better.
Any other comments? Is there anything else to come before the meeting?
Oh, thank you.
Do I have a motion to adjourn? Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. We don't, do this, but I will make sure.